Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen, where we interview the world's highest quality communicators, professionals, business owners, creatives, and everything in between. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're a high quality communicator, there's a good chance you're living a lot happier life, but you're also bringing those opportunities into your life almost like a magnet. My guarantee is that on this show, we only interview people that I, one, look up to, and two, that I know are going to continue to kill the game for years to come, and I want to make sure they're on your radar. But what I've learned is by asking the best questions, we get the best responses, and that's what the highest quality communicators, our social sellers, are all about. Let's hop inside to the Social Seller Podcast. And 2 years later, you meet some people that are like, no, the only way you can add time to your day is waking up early. You can't add it to the end of the day.
Yep.
Talking about the end of the day, what does your nighttime routine look like? When are you in bed? How do you make it sustainable?
I'm in bed every night. I usually have my last meal at 7:30, and I will do some light reading. If I have time during the day, I'll whip out my fiction books. I just, love to read. But, I'll read a little bit before bed to try to wind down. Reading does the opposite to me. For a lot of people, it makes them sleepy. For me, it wakes me up, and it gets me thinking. So I can't do a lot of that super close to bed. But I'll get in bed around 8, and I will be fast asleep by 9.
Do you check screens at all? Do you have any rules of when you're looking at
My
screens?
rules have changed a little bit because I've been doing long distance with my boyfriend, and his schedule is all over, so we kind of have to make that work.
Yeah.
But no, for the most part, before I was doing 30 minutes in the morning, no phone. The first 30 minutes of my day, no phone, and the last 30 minutes of my day, no phone.
Smart.
I even got up to an hour, but things change. Those types of things can change a little bit.
A little bit of flexibility.
Yeah.
And I love that you dive into some, I don't think there's been a guest in however 30 plus episodes that have been that aligned. And then there's a biohacking component to it too. And I'm sure you're fascinated by, there's new technologies and we can measure things we've never measured before. Let's look at it. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Pomodoro. That could be something I'll show you after, but it's taking all the modern studies that we know about the human brain and how if we're going to sit down and work and we have to do paperwork, we're building sales funnels, we're dealing with clients, how do we maximize our day in doing the highest priority? And then it's looking at on and off cycle. So a Pomodoro, and I have my sheets up there, I would show you. You allot the day before, so you have your to-do list. And I will know before I finish today what tomorrow is.
Oh,
1,
yes,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
absolutely.
Number 1 is always going to be
That
the
goes in
top
the journal.
priority, takes the most mental capacity and energy, and they should usually fall like that. But then there's an alarm that goes with it. And you do 25-minute on cycles, so no phone, you set a timer, it's away from you, and then when the alarm goes off, you take a 3-minute break, and now you go back on. That's 1 Pomodoro. After I think every 3, you take a 15-minute break. This works well for me. I don't know if it works well for everyone. I've done this for 6 years. It's helped me a ton through college. And when you're thinking about all these different things, are you a person that writes things out, or do you take digital notes?
I write things out a lot. Yeah.
Yep. And being able to get the gratification of crossing something out.
I love the check marks.
Check marks. Oh my gosh.
I have 5 different colored pens, and they all mean different things. And
Yeah, I love it. So I'd love to talk to you more about the Pomodoro. What else has been a foundational kind of similar to habit stacking? What else from your teachings or learnings have you implemented that maybe has surprised you?
I think that reading has been probably a number one thing for me as well. The habit stacking for sure, but also practicing gratitude has been a huge thing in my life. I pick 10 things at the end of every day, and I have to write them all down. And I find that throughout my day, I'm looking at things and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write that down later. I'm grateful for that. And you just take a second, because that's in play, to appreciate whatever that is. Whether it's small, that nice person just told me they like whatever. You know what I mean? Just these little things that you're grateful for, and just being able to kind of get my brain out of just that mode and to be more present. That's been a huge thing that I've been trying really hard to do, is to be more present and to really, instead of having destination happiness of well, when I get here, we'll do this, blah, blah, blah. But it's you're working through it. And even having conversations like this, where I came from, thinking about all those years ago, it's okay, wow. But now I'm in a place that I wanted to be back then. And it's if you don't appreciate the journey and all the, all the steps that got you there, it's what is it worth?
Right. And we've all seen, and this scares the shit out of me, it's this type of belief, because it's a competitive side of we have a goal, whether it's me or a team, we're going to get it. And then there's another one. And you start always thinking the next, and you don't necessarily celebrate the ones you get. And then I've had a handful of conversations with mentors and business professionals and just heard these stories. There's at least 5 to 10 that I've heard firsthand in the last 5 years, right? Where they push their body to the limit. And I had to call Oscar out on this because I could tell like he wasn't sleeping. And as a friend, I better step up and mention something. You don't want to turn into these professionals, or at least I've defined I don't want to, that literally pushes their body to exhaustion. I'm going to work. I'm going to get that goal. I'm going to get the promotion, whatever it is in your life. And you do it and you do it and you do it. And then you start hearing the stories. I made it to that meeting. It was the biggest meeting of my life. You know, I was 32 years old. This was the one that was going to move me up the ladder. And I get in, and 2 minutes after starting presenting, we're at a round table, my body, I lose legs, like unconscious, hit my face into the conference table, lose 2 teeth. And this is like going into the meeting. There's other ones, you know, passing out in the airport. Like, not only how embarrassing these are,
it's
but
how you show up. And
exactly.
You know, you have to be able to show up as 100% ready to do whatever you're doing. Otherwise, why are you even there?
Yeah. And you talk about wanting to achieve and then finding that balance. Let's talk about the future for a second. First off, looking at today, third person, we're stepping out of the body and we're looking at you. We're saying, this is Caitlin. What is the number one area of your life, personally or professionally, that is going to make that person in a year from now that you'll be really proud of?
Well, there's a few things. I think one of my flaws is that I get so inundated with options, and I just have a hard time picking something. I don't know if you've read the book. I forget what it's called. But he talks about being a maximizer or a satisficer. And like basically the person that walks into the jeans store, there's 2 people. One person is looking for the perfect pair of jeans. They try on all these pairs and there's like a good enough pair, but they're not the perfect one. So if they buy this okay pair, they're not going to be satisfied with that because they're going to be thinking about, well, what if there was a perfect pair out there? The other guy goes in, he finds like 3 pairs that are great, you know, whatever, picks one, super happy with it, doesn't even think twice about it. It doesn't affect his life. And so I'm trying to be more of a satisficer and not a maximizer. So when it comes to that, I'm being very, very particular about and intentional with kind of where I'm going to focus my energy going forward. There's a lot of newness and a lot of change that's going to be coming my way. And so I'm just going to try to stay grounded and pick the things that resonate with me the most. I think the number one thing that I've always wanted to do is work with kids. And I kind of, you know, fell into the fitness side, and then I've been kind of getting back to how do I kind of blend the two, working with health and fitness and then working with kids. And I work with foster youth, and so just kind of seeing the programs that they have for them has kind of like, I don't know, inspired me to figure out a way to kind of blend the two, or just even give these kids like an outlet or something to do. And like half the time they just want this one-on-one attention, and just, you know, and I think that having something physical or just having something that you're working towards as a child, like when you're, you know, building and growing into your personality, is huge. So I think that that would be really helpful to implement. I don't know if that would be like a nonprofit situation, or I don't know. I haven't figured out that part of it, but that's absolutely like always been kind of something that I know that I have to do, is find a way to work with kids. So I don't know what that looks like exactly yet. But I would also like, I'm big on cooking. Like that's like a huge passion of mine. So I would love to own a restaurant, perhaps. So when I moved to Virginia Beach, I'm just kind of thinking like, what does that look like? Because obviously things are different. It's not SoCal. There's not, you know, influencers everywhere and, you know, photo shoots and all this. So I'm going to have to, it's going to be a challenge for me to kind of figure out where I want to take my brand. But I like a challenge.
Absolutely.
So we'll see.
Are you familiar with Dr. Joe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dispenza?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So he has a morning routine that I've started 4 months ago, and it helps a lot. Right before you get out of bed, you wake up, alarm goes off. It's still pitch dark, right? And you're like, it's a little cold. But before you get out, make sure you're awake, close your eyes again, and start feeling the excitement for the day of the unknowns. Mm-hmm. So I'll cycle through. Unknown, you know, you could meet your soulmate today, business partner, business opportunities, to I am already grateful and excited for whatever I used to call adversity, because I do want to level up. And this is my opportunity to get from whatever, this level to 1% better today. And it's so wild, because feeling the emotions, just like a lot of the things we're talking about today, allows your body to align with it. You're vibrating in one. We won't go down that rabbit hole. Have you dabbled in meditation, or like more present fit, like yoga? Do you prefer yoga or meditation?
So I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can be in a meditative state. And for me, it's oddly like doing things like skydiving, or like just things where I'm really just so present with myself. You have to be with skydiving and things like that. Like I find myself sometimes in a meditative state doing cardio. Like I'll just be completely like zoned out and just in tune with myself, my breathing, everything. Just all I can hear is my breathing. Things like that I find easier to do than find a meditative state. I mean, I do some like guided meditation stuff if I really want to like try to relax. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like the first few times it just put me to sleep, and I mean, I think that for each person, finding what you find to be meditative, and to me, I think that being in a meditative state is just the closest, most present you that you're gonna find, and it's where you're open to your subconscious and all the things, all the options, and you're just actually listening, and just being.
I like what you said. You're so still that you hear your breath.
Yeah.
Right? Because most of us listening have not really felt that stillness. Because even when you say it, it's like, I'm over here like listening. I'm like, and I really like the practice of these. And there's like Tai Chi. There's so many ways. Like you had said, what's interesting to me is you say skydiving, because then immediately that's similar to like snowboarding for me. That's the kid comes out, I don't think, and it's flow.
Exactly.
I think flow and presence, are they the same?
I think it's similar. I think that people think that being in a meditative state is being relaxed, super relaxed. It's not. It's being hyper focused is what it is. And that's why I think people struggle with meditation, because wherever you're extremely focused but calm at the same time, which is actually a hard balance to find, I think that that's like true meditative state. Yeah. And so, you can find yourself doing something active and find that state. You just have to, just like anything, you have to work to find a meditative state, you know what I mean? And people just think that they're going to fall into it if they listen to some nice, guided meditation. But all of these things, everything in your life takes effort and work and actual thought and focus towards that. So
I couldn't agree more. And anything worth enjoying in life usually didn't come easy in life, right? Absolutely. The things we work harder for, we appreciate a lot more. And on the visualization side, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I forget who. It might have been Ed Milet, and he had a guest on.
I love him.
Right, Ed's the man. And they were talking about the visualization in the study that came out a couple years ago about the basketball teams. And in every way they did this study that the basketball teams they were just measuring progress. And for this, and I could be butchering it, but it was like, for this team will not practice physically. They will only visualize shooting free throws for the exact same amount of time that Group B actually physically practices. Now, at the end of the 6 weeks, they have all of these different ways to track it. There was 25% progress for the team that physically practiced, and guess what? The team that simply visualized and felt the emotions and ran through it in their mind of shooting free throws. Guess what percentage they improved? It was 24. So simply put, that with a 1% difference.
Power of the brain is huge.
Power of the brain is huge, and I feel like this information's out there.
It's like your health, you know what I mean? People are so focused, like, oh, I'm sick, I'm going to go to the doctor. But it's like, if, you also have to work on your mental state and everything else that you're doing in your brain, and like the health of, the health and fitness of your brain as well. And that is a huge thing. Like, it's work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And just implementing a few of these like small tools can take you way further than, like even working harder towards something else that you might think will get you the same result.
Yeah. Yeah. And with this change and you moving from San Diego to Virginia Beach in December, where does the brand go? Do you see any part of the brand you've created not maybe coming to this next chapter of your life? Is there a certain focus or direction that really excites you?
I've been thinking about rebranding a little bit more away from like sexier photos and just kind of more into empowering women through fitness, and then working with kids eventually. But a lot of my brand won't change because I have the gift of being able to do this from anywhere, which has been huge. And I move every 4 or 5 years to a new place, and so that's been a big deal too. But yeah, none of my brand deals will change. Content might look a little different, but yeah, I mean, I am very lucky and blessed to be able to have a life that I can just pick up and go. But yeah, I think that there will be a lot of new, exciting things that I'm going to be focusing on that are different. Yeah, I'm excited.
I love it. And you're so open and welcoming to change. And I wasn't always like that.
I look for it. I seek it out.
Right? And you don't look at it like it's scary. Or, I mean, even though you know it could be, you lean towards the opportunity and maybe what's behind it.
If it doesn't
right?
challenge you, it won't change you.
It won't. And you probably won't appreciate it as much either, going back to the other point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being open to it and doing things that might not be as societal or is the normal belief, right?
Yeah.
Growing up in a small town, it's usually pretty normal to like come back to where everyone grew up. Now, to dive in, who is your ideal client? You talk about the women you've been able to help. Out of all, like, who is that ideal client for you? What do they look like, and how do you help them?
I wouldn't say I picked just one. There's been so many people that I've helped in different ways. Like some of my even in-person clients, they just come to chat and they look up to me as a role model and they just want to like, talk to me about their life. And I feel like I'm a therapist and, I wear many different hats when it comes to my clients, whether you just need someone to talk to or like a support system or like you have no friends even or anything like that, like on the social side, perfect. And then there's women that come to me, just broken and so down and lack confidence and just being able to give them their power back, because again, that's what I want to do with skydiving is it's such a male dominated sport and there's like not that many women in it. And so I just like being able to do these scary things makes you feel so empowered. Like if I can do that, I can do anything. And so it gives you that power to go through your day. And the same thing goes with working out. You choose to do something that's challenging for you, challenging for your body. And once you're past that, you're like, oh, I can do whatever.
You can do a little bit more.
Yeah. And so I think that instills confidence. And obviously confidence is also built by keeping the promises that you make to yourself, and that is commitment to a workout program or whatever that looks like for you, being able to stick to a diet. But yeah, I kind of take the approach of, you can teach a man to fish, and then he can, eat his whole life. And so I don't want repeat customers, really. I want to be able to set you off on your own to where you know what to do, you have the tools, and you're going to cultivate that and make that work for your lifestyle. Yeah. So, I mean, all my clients are special in their own way, and they all need different things, and they all come to me from different walks of life and different things. But, I mean, this one client I had, she completely changed my whole life. Like, it was incredible. So she hired me. She had stage 4 cancer.
Wow. And
she wanted to get in the best shape of her life before she died. For her family, for her kids, for her husband. And she did all this without them knowing. And like literally I've got pictures of her shredded, 6-pack, everything. Like it was so like just watching her take that power back of like, hey, I should feel weak, I should feel sad, I should feel beaten down. Instead of that, she turned it into this so empowering thing, and that she's gonna leave her kids with this amazing memory and something to look back at like, wow, like that was so powerful.
Wow.
And just like I always like tear up, but like that was a big deal. And just her letting me be a part of that was huge. And it just grounds you and reminds you of why you do the things you do and why you want to help people. And so I mean, she was a pretty great client, but they're all
awesome.
wonderful.
That is so beautiful. And I'm sure you get just as much value out of
Absolutely,
being able to work with them, and you're getting that personal growth working with them
It
too.
works being a nurturer because I love to see that. I'm like, oh, I'm helping. I'm like, oh, love that. Yay.
Right. See them feel good.
Yeah.
See their accomplishments. Those are the best. Thank you so much. And for anyone that's interested in learning more about you, for anyone that doesn't know Caitlin, Booty Builder Rice yet, where can they find you, your website and Instagram?
It's just CaitlinRiceFit.com and then at CaitlinRiceFit on Instagram.
And we will put that in the description below. Caitlin, thanks so much. This
Absolutely.
was awesome.
This
I
was such a
appreciate it. This
pleasure.
was so
Yay.
much fun.
Thanks for having me.